My name is Jen Vick. This is Doug Berg. We are talking today on the Matchcast
Yeah.
all about the candidate experience and what is broken about it, why it's been broken for so long, which I'm curious to hear your answers on, and then what we're doing to fix that broken candidate experience once and for all. So I would love to dive right in to talking about what is it about the candidate experience in job hunting, in recruiting, in talent acquisition that is broken, that is fundamentally broken.
Yeah, I think as employers, we spend a lot of money on employer branding. I mean, we hire an agency, they do beautiful creative, they try to capture our brand, our colors, our language. And the thing that I think most employers don't understand is that other than information and branding, look and feel, the biggest thing in recruiting is informational indecision. My experience of using your site, not just me looking at it and going, oh, this is a beautiful career site. I should work for this company. Because I think that's what I think a lot of employers think. Or I might watch a great video testimonial of a person and go, oh my gosh, I believe that to be like my story. And what's interesting is when candidates go from this beautiful homepage, 9 times out of 10, I do a search and all of a sudden I'm in a completely different system. So it might on the top look the same, but if I look for sales rep jobs and all of a sudden it says, sorry, we don't have any sales rep jobs because the company calls their sales reps account managers, all of a sudden what I searched for, I didn't find, or I maybe found a limited set. Or in some cases, like at healthcare companies, I might search for nurse jobs and all of a sudden there's 500 nurse jobs. So I'm overwhelmed because a lot of the ATS technologies aren't smart enough to help me understand, and they don't know who I am. They just know that I put a keyword in and I hit search. So the ability to personalize and understand the full breadth of who the candidate is not available because we don't know who the candidate is when they're visiting. Till now, of course, which we'll talk about later.
Right.
But then when I find a job and I look at a job, we assume that candidates will just read this Wikipedia of a job and we hope it's written beautifully and it sings like the sound of music. But you know, after we get through all of the why it's so great to live here and be here, and then they start looking at the requirements and the desired and required skills, that's where the kind of the meat and potatoes of it is. But it really doesn't help the candidate to look at those things and go, well, which of these do I match and which of these do I not? So it becomes overwhelming. And that's why a lot of candidates just abandon the process.
Right.
So we believe that a better experience is one that's not just informational, but it's decisional. So knowing who the candidate is, being able to match them to the best jobs, like a consumer experience. Like I'm on Amazon and it knows that I'm a guy and it knows that I have size 10.5 shoes and it knows that I like golf equipment, right?
Yeah,
And
they know
so
everything about you.
I can just type in shoes and it's showing me my size, the kind I want. And we believe that the candidate experience can evolve to that once you offer a more consumer grade type of an experience.
So question then for you. Why do you think that hasn't existed until now? Like you've been in this business for over 30 years and through the whole .com initial era, why has it not been fixed yet? We have apps for everything. We have OpenTable, we have Amazon, we have Expedia, we have on our devices, on our computers, everywhere. Why hasn't anyone built this yet?
Yeah, because I think it's because the applicant tracking systems are applicant tracking systems. They're not like candidate marketing applications. They've been built to process an applicant.
Right.
And so, yes, you have to search for a job, and yes, we leave it to the candidates, but sometimes we get so overwhelmed as employers because so many people are applying to so many of the wrong things because they can't make good decisions about what job's right for them.
Right.
That they just apply to anything. And then we blame the candidate, but then we also take their application and we put it into the record 180 of 200, and then we have to go and sit and sift through everybody because it's a tracking system. So it doesn't have like modern consumer personalization, decisioning, and a lot of the times we end up having to buy one system for a chatbot and one system for our talent community and one system for our CRM. So a candidate might actually be trying to navigate from our beautiful career site to our talent community, which is in our CRM, to the chatbot, which is Paradox, to our Workday system.
I've experienced it.
Yeah. And so they're very confused. I mean, I worked with my one of my stepsons to find a job, and we were on a company site, a big company site, and they said, apply now. And he clicked it, and it brought us to Workday.
Okay.
And he's like, well, wait a minute.
What happened?
I was on Medtronic, but now I'm applying to Workday.
Right.
And we don't understand that the candidates don't understand that. And so the employers in a way don't have like empathy for like what their candidates are doing. And then it took him 30 minutes to sign up for Workday and to submit his application. And then we clicked on another job at another company and we went to their Workday. But he's like, am I applying to this company now? And why can't I use the thing I filled out over there over here? And it's because there's this massive separation and there's a transactional mindset prevalent in recruiting, which is I want one candidate to apply to one job and I'll decide if I'm going to hire them or not. And then I'm going to discard them and I'm going to start things over. So there really isn't a great relational consumer mindset that's been dropped into the entire career site employment strategy until now.
And I think that's why this is like so exciting, because this is a first of its kind, first in the industry solution that's coming in and marrying all those pieces together, right?
That's right.
The CRM, the ATS, the candidate experience, even from the recruiter side, the TA side, getting those all together, having that connecting piece, that connecting match to piece to make them all talk together, but also give the recruiters and the hiring managers a lot of information, a lot of really great data, a lot of knowing all the signals of where the candidate is going and what they're doing and where they're at. And I just feel like that has such an exciting thing to know that we're diving into this world of that you've been in for so long, but now getting to the point where we're like, oh yeah, everyone's starting to understand it. They're getting it. It's like, oh, this is one of the last frontiers to be conquered in digital.
Right, and it can't be solved inside of any single career site. That's what's so interesting to me. Right. Candidates go to one career site, to another career site, to another career site, and there's nothing of what they do that travels with them. They have to re-upload their resumes, they have to recreate accounts. Right. So until now, there's never been a way for a company to say, oh, I know who this candidate is because they came to us through a vehicle that allows us to know who they are, allows us to match them to jobs, allows them to make a good decision about what the best job here is for them, and then to help them optimize their application and either decide not to apply, which is amazing. Like when you sit with a candidate through an interactive apply process, 90% will not even apply if they're not a 50% or better candidate.
Yeah.
But until you do that, you're just going to end up getting machine gun applies and bot-based applies because, again, we're making candidates search, read, review, and they get so tired of it, Jen, that they just go search, apply, and we wonder why we end up with so many we think the candidates are misbehaving, but they're just tired.
They're tired.
And they just want a better and different approach to interacting with employers.
They're tired. We're tired. I'm not a current candidate, but when I was a candidate, we're tired.
Yes.
And everybody that I know is tired out there. It's a million hoops to jump through. And I think what is so cool about Match 2 is we're making there's no hoops. It's a bridge.
Yes.
We're not making the candidates jump through hoops anymore. We're providing that bridge, that link from the candidate to the employer.
So many career sites, I like to say, are like one-way walkie-talkies.
Yeah, totally. Or just like a big brother.
Yeah, there's like no one on the other side.
Nobody's there now.
And I think and so candidates are tired, recruiters are tired then because they get the byproduct of, but it's just monotonous that both sides are having to go through. So when you improve it and enhance it on the candidate side, the byproduct on the recruiter side is I only get to see really great qualified candidates, along with the rationale and the decisioning of why they're a great candidate. So imagine, recruiters, if you got 90% of your time back and you only saw great qualified candidates. And I think what's even more important, because I owned a recruiting and staffing company for so many years, is that the candidate experience is not just the first time they visit the career site and apply for a single job. Because when I used to talk to candidates and I'd say, hey, I've got this great job. Are you interested? Yes, I'm interested. Okay, I'll send you in. Well, that candidate's calling me the next day and the next day. What's up? Do they want to interview me? What's going on, right? When they work with recruiters, I know how to give them answers or at least empathy or updates.
Sure.
When I apply to most career sites, I don't get that. I get a rejection note a few weeks later, maybe.
No, 30 seconds after you apply.
or it's either 30 seconds
after you apply, you get an email in your inbox. I mean, you literally have you've just breathed your sigh of relief that you applied for the job and you get the rejection email right away.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's either right away or never.
Or never, yeah.
And so what we've done with Match 2 is not only make that first visit incredibly personal and consumer and informed to make that experience better. But even after they leave, because we helped them find the best job, apply to the best job, and then we when we put their application in, we connect it back to their candidate portal. So I don't know if you've ever used OpenTable, but when you make dinner reservations,
yes,
isn't it wonderful?
Favorite apps ever. Yes,
exactly.
I love it.
All of a sudden, I book my dinner at Hazelwood tonight and Maynard's tomorrow night. Well, I can see, cancel, add people, take people off,
change the time.
That exact metaphor is how Match2 helps candidates to stay connected to the employers, so that if the employer says, hey, we want to interview you, ding, 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 on my portal, it says, oh, I'm going to get the interview. This is great. Or if the candidate gets an interview from another company and a second interview, I can say, hey, I'd like to let all the employers know I'm progressing in my process.
Because I would imagine from an employer's side, it can get really frustrating if you're interviewing a great candidate and you have a lag time in your process and you go back to that candidate and say, hey, we're ready for a second interview. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like I was hired a week ago or yesterday because I was doing my second and third round interviews. That has to be really frustrating.
It's not only frustrating, but in many cases, if you were banking on that candidate, you have to start the entire recruiting process all over again.
Right.
And so one of the biggest problems is ghosting. And the reason there's ghosting is because after candidates apply to career sites, they don't go back and log into all the employer sites and say, hey, by the way, take me out of the running, or hey, here's my updated status. They don't do that in the middle of when they're an active candidate, and they certainly don't do it 6 months from now or 2 years from now when they're back on the market and they've got new skills and they're like, ooh, I wonder who would like to chat with me.
Yeah.
And so we're really making the candidate experience not only first visit awesome, but career long, frictionless, informational, to really help both employers and candidates have a strategic long-term relationship, kind of like you have with all your Facebook friends or your LinkedIn friends, right?
Yeah.
But now this is doing it from the person to the platforms, so that companies don't have to keep rebuying candidates and sending out email campaigns. And I talked to a recruiter the other day and they said, I waste half my time doing a search in our CRM for anyone that's applied, but I don't know who's on the market. So if I get a list of 100 people, I have to call all 100 to see who's there. But you're telling me that if I have Match2 connected to all these people, it will instantly show me the 30 that are open to opportunities that are a great match? You just saved me another 70% of my time.
Right.
So the informational bidirectional benefit of having Match2 as your connected talent solution is an amazing thing. Not only, again, first visit, but career long with your candidates.
Well, and first visit meaning either they apply or even they're just a passive visitor to your career site, right?
Yes.
They pop in, they're cruising through, they're looking at the jobs that Match2 matches them to on your career site. And then they might think like, well, I'm not quite ready to apply yet. But now they compliantly share their information. So now you have, as an employer, you have all their information. So if you then pop in and say, oh my gosh, like Jen was an 85% match for this job, but she didn't apply. But I'm looking at her LinkedIn. She's got a great history. She'd be phenomenal for this role. Now you, as the recruiter or employer, can call that candidate and be like, hey, I saw you were on a career site. Like, I got to tell you, here's our salary range and you'd be an amazing fit for this job.
Tell me how amazing
that feels really powerful.
The candidate experience difference would be. If I go visit a top healthcare employer, I upload my profile or use my Match2, I see 3 or 4 great jobs. It's Wednesday at noon. Most people don't know that the top time candidates look for jobs is when they're at lunch. They've had a bad day. And so they're just looking, but they don't have 30 minutes to apply. But they interacted with my site. It showed me that they were an awesome match. And in my mind, I'm like, I'll go home and apply tonight, which never happens, or Saturday.
Yeah.
But imagine if later that day or the next morning, you get an email from the recruiter that says, I saw you visited the site, Jen. I saw you were a great match. Can I answer any questions or can I help you get through the process?
I mean, that would be a life changer.
That would
make searching and finding a new job so much less stressful and so much easier.
Well, and again, think of the brand experience difference of that.
Ooh, that's a really good point. We should talk about that because that is a huge thing to be able to say that a certain company reached out to me. They were so proactive and on top of it. How incredible is that for a candidate, for the world to see your brand that way as like top notch, super responsive, and they know me.
Well, and when I bring something like that up to recruiters, they instantly go, I don't have time to follow up with everybody. I'm not telling you to follow up with everybody. And by the way, I just took 90% of your wasted time reviewing resumes away.
Right.
And I just took 50% of your time trying to find who's on the market away.
Yep.
And I've also helped save a bunch of, so now you've got a little more free time. And for that one rec that's been open for 60 days, that no great candidates that have applied to, if I send you a note with 3 candidates that were on the career site yesterday that didn't apply, and let's be honest, there's just some jobs that candidates are apply allergic for. A doctor will not go through the Workday apply process.
I'm sure they won't, no.
But they will visit and they will upload and they will interact with my jobs. That takes these ghost candidates, the 90% of people that visited my site that I never even had a chance to know who they were, and it serves them up on a silver platter.
Right.
So that now you can actually, and I know in the AI world, everyone wants agents to do everything. But if I got a real call from a real recruiter at a real company, Jen, that offered to help me, tell me that that's not going to help me stand out and differentiate in an all AI world.
It will make your company, your recruiters, it will make them shine like stars, because candidates are not getting that experience right now. Everything is so discouraging in the job hunt world as a candidate. Get to a point where you feel really good about things, and this is, this is across the board. This is director level, C-suite level, people, friends of mine that I know that are VP level that have been out of a job for a year because they're like, the market is tough. Everything is AI driven. I feel like I'm getting ghosted. I'm getting ignored. I'm actually really qualified for this, but no one is taking the time to actually look and see who I am. And it's really about like the fit of the candidate, but it's also about get you through the process faster.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important.
Well, in candidates, the psychology of the candidates is so interesting to me, because even as I've talked with candidates personally about a job or sold them on a job, even they will say, look, I don't have that one thing, and there's no way they're going to want me if they don't want the one thing. And I'm like, trust me, I've helped place 3 people that didn't have that one thing. They will love you and they will modify or change. And so it's just so wild what happens on both sides when there isn't a guided experience.
Right.
They have no idea whether or not they should move forward. And so the leakage of opportunity and of inference capture and the back and forth that can happen is everywhere inside of the current experience, unless you help assist people and make it more affirming and more interactive and more informed for both sides to be able to understand what the opportunities are.
Well, and I love too how we give the candidates that opportunity to advocate for themselves.
Yes.
To say, you know what, okay, the requirement is maybe, I say it's a master's in business, your MBA, a month away from your MBA, or maybe you're 3 months away from your MBA, but this job that you're looking at is a perfect fit for you. There's no way currently on any, like if you don't have that in your resume, but there's no way for me to tell the company this.
Right.
I can't tell them I'm super close. I can maybe say it in a cover letter, but cover letters mostly don't get read.
Yeah.
And they are usually scanned by AI. But I love that this allows, like Match 2 allows the candidates to come in and say, well, I don't have my MBA yet, but I'm 2 credits away.
Right.
I'm 1 month away. It allows them to advocate for themselves and their skills. Or, I've never been, in this particular role, but here's a role I did that was actually using the exact same skill set. And here's why.
Yeah. And look, I think it's as important for experienced professionals like you're talking about that have a rich resume. It's even more vital for the resume-less candidate, the ones that are in high volume roles where I don't really have a resume.
Right.
And I'm looking at your job, and I have talked to so many employers, especially in my Indeed days, that they get 500 applicants that only submit their email, even though they were looking at a job. And so as a recruiter, I have to go, they must have read the job, they applied for the job, but they only gave me their name and email, but I don't have time to go chase them and ask them how do they square up. So one of the neat things Match 2 also does, especially for that candidate demographic, is we turn a rec into a resume. So a lot of these systems will ask pre-screener questions.
Yes.
But all we're doing is taking the job and saying, hey, you must be able to deal with customers and relate with customers. You must be able to work an 8-hour shift. You must be able to know how to run a cash register. And instead of just them reading that, we turn it into a punch list where they can say, yes, I've done that. And yes, I've done this. So instead of the fake and bot thing where I just take my job and turn it into a resume and throw it over the fence, this is more intentional. This is more me checking a box and knowing I'm going to have an interview and knowing that someone's going to ask me, why'd you check the box that you said you had that? And now those 500 a day candidates that I only have an email, I at least see everything that they declared that they either have or would be willing to do. I decisive data now that I can act on. So those types of things really, again, enhance the candidate experience, allows them to advocate for themselves. And what's neat is if they build that on my site, my career site, just like if there's a whole community of career sites, when they travel to the next site, they don't have to refill all that out. So then it will match them based upon what they did on career site 1, because now they're on career site 2 and 3. And so the entire ecosystem of employer interactivity that's happening across the Match 2 universe is just helping collaborate and build even more persistent and relevant and powerful content and connectivity like never before.
You're changing everything. You're changing everything.
To me, I'm just like, these are pragmatic problems that should have been solved a long time ago. Well, again, when I talk to the big platforms, and God bless them, they're doing as much as they can, but they're here to solve the problem from the companies out. There's no one that really has solved the problem from the candidate in.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I know we've talked to some people who, in our initial conversations, they're like, I already have way too many candidates, like you were saying. The top of the funnel is super full. It's flooded. I can barely sift through 2% of what I have coming in. And so there were a couple people I was talking to recently, and they're like, oh, candidate experience. I can't care about candidate experience right now because I'm trying to deal with the 1,000 resumes I get per day. So let's talk a little bit through, why is candidate experience important now more than ever, especially in this era where maybe you're not hiring right now, or maybe there's a limited number of recs that you have open. You know that in the future that's going to change. So why is that? That's kind of a two-part question. Why is the candidate experience super relevant right now? And how does this benefit the employer, recruiter? And I know we talked about time getting back, but like, in this era, why is it important?
Yeah, so I think overwhelmed employers are overwhelmed because they're not offering a decisive, informed, interactive experience.
Okay.
So that they can capture the right candidates in the right ways and guide them to the right opportunities at the right time.
Yep.
And that's what's causing the avalanche of all the hay on the needle. So they got overwhelmed because they went down a path of just posting all my jobs.
Quick.
Anyone can apply to anything.
Right.
Let's not sort the coins, right?
Yeah.
I had in my mind this funny thing the other day because I found this giant Ziploc bag of coins
in your garage.
It was here in my man cave.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I going to do with these? I'm not going to sit and sort all these coins.
Right.
But they're valuable.
Right.
And I went down to the credit union and they had this machine and I could dump the whole bag in and it did all of the work. Like in 2 seconds, it went brrr, and it kicked out some paper clips and some washers and some other things. And I watched this thing go from $0 to $20 to $80 to $200, just like that.
Yeah.
Because it knew how to sort and really help organize and understand the value of what was in that bag way faster than I could. That's never been a part of the ATS systems or the career sites. And so a big part of what Match 2 does is really help you to resort all of that stuff. And there was even like some European and Mexican pesos coins. It didn't want those, but later
right.
They might have some value. And I think when you add that kind of intelligence and assistive technology and personalization, that's what helps you sort through all of the bad talent so you can get to the really valuable ones as quickly as possible. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is, like, we did a big retailer a long time ago, and they had 7,000 to 10,000 people a day on their career site. And they were opting into the talent community concept, which is very similar to the Match 2 piece. They didn't have jobs for those people in April and May, but they still captured them. They were coins they put into their Ziploc bag back in those days.
Yeah.
And then when fall comes around and Black Friday's headed towards us, now all of a sudden these jobs start showing up and they're able to email candidates back and go reach back to those candidates and say, hey, you were on the site in April. Now I've got something for you. Do you want to come back and apply? And that's where we took their average cost per applicant from $25 to 5 cents, because they were able to capture the relationship on the day the candidate was on the site.
Right.
But I didn't have need to, I have need now. Can I get the candidate to come back? And those candidates that visited your site are 4 times more inclined to come back and apply for a job if invited. And so that's where this gets really powerful and strategic for companies that know how to still capture everybody and sort them.
Yes.
And connect with them on the days that they're investing in coming to you, so that on days when you need to get them to come back, you can take advantage of that.
Well, so if a career site or an employer can come back and ask the candidate, hey, invite you back in, hey, do you want to come back and apply? That one little act, that one little email is a really, really powerful way to get those candidates, not just to come back in, but to actually be like, oh, they remembered me. That increases your employer brand recognition, right? And all those metrics, but it also gives the candidate such a great experience that they then lean in a little bit more and say, ooh, yeah, I do want to, like, or if they don't, then they don't. But leaning in, at least you have now that bucket of captured passive career site visitors to reach out to and to connect with, to be, did you call it recession recruiting?
Like recession recruiting, yep. Especially with all the layoffs going out. And that's what's so ironic is in an economy like this, the number of candidates searching is really high, but the number of jobs I have is at its all-time low.
Right.
So my ability to harvest these people at this time so that I can value them later, it not only honors the candidate, which I think is really important, because they will just apply if they don't know that they're on the wait list. And that's one of the things Match2 does, is it actually communicates, Jen, we hire people like you, just not today, but we'll let you know. So now the 7,000 or 8,000 people that were usually applying for jobs are like, I don't need to apply because they know me, and they'll get back to me on the time when the moment is right for both of us. And so you solve these massive volume and waste experiences by just changing your recruiting from transactional to relational, and from disconnected to connected, using this powerful new model.
Well, you think about like the retailers, like when everything started going to e-com, right? Back when we worked together the first time.
Yeah.
When employers and brands were putting their websites together and introducing the idea of buying stuff online. And at first, some people, not you, I know, because you were bought in, you were like, yes. But some people were like, why would I buy something on my computer? Why wouldn't I just go to the store and buy it? Right?
Like, super efficient.
It just wasn't in your mind necessarily to think of a different way of doing something. And I love that that's what we're doing here and now, is you've thought of a better way to bridge that gap. And if you think about retailers back then, how much more money do you think, how much is Amazon making right now? How much do people make on Amazon selling their products now versus if they have a shop open on the corner? We're basically taking companies and putting them on an Amazon, so to speak, so they don't just have their one shop on the corner that people have to somehow search and find them. And now they're everywhere. Now they're connected and really easy to find.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so interesting, because there's still so many companies today that think they need to redesign their career site, or they need to redeploy with a new ATS. When I think doing those things, that they're unimportant, but they still won't solve this problem of how can I connect better with my candidates? How can I use outside-in experiences and smarter and more intelligent? And I think that's one of the things we're trying to do with Match2, is to say, by adding this to your site, it's like adding universal payment systems, like a PayPal to your career site, or a connected experience like your Expedia stuff. That has been what has allowed a company with maybe an old crappy ATS to offer and deliver this amazing new connected experience without having to change your whole back end.
Right.
And that alone can help transform and help you get 4 or 5 times more results and offer a better informational experience than just doing a redesign or redeployment.
How long does it usually take to implement a new ATS? Like if a company says, I want to change my whole back end of my whole system.
9 months to 18 months. It's a long, tedious process.
Long process. And how long does it take to drop in the Match2 script onto any career site?
Well, it minutes, but we also help customers make configuration choices, right? Connecting to their current CRM and their current ATS is what allows us to deliver the data into your existing systems. So one of the neat things is you completely make it better, easier, and more informed for the candidate, but your recruiters are currently in your CRM, and they're just going to start seeing more and better candidates. And they're in your ATS, but now they're only going to be seeing qualified and up-to-date status codes for every candidate. And so there's no change for them there, And again, I think even the informational experience for recruiters is what, yes, it's clunky to search sometimes in the back end of, but man, if that data is there and getting updated and it helps me to be more efficient, I can deal with a cumbersome system if all the data is up to date and if the quality of the data is way better. And so that's what we think is a really important thing about if you're going to invest in something. And one of the employers, they were so smart. They said, so this not only makes it better and easier on my site, but they were like, I helped coach a candidate once to how to make their resume a little better or how to interview a little better. Now I'm going to give them an application that makes it easier to do business with me and everybody better. And if I'm the employer that actually makes that available to a candidate, they're going to value my brand relationship even more, because this company not only cares about me and making my experience with them better, they care about me as like a consumer to make my entire life better. That's valuable to the candidates.
It's insanely valuable, especially, again, going back to AI in a world where everything feels like it's very automated and impersonal. Match2, we use AI to make things more personal, because we're actually using it to connect the candidates and the employers, and we're using it to give them that better fit, but also to increase the personalization.
Yeah. Well, and employers are getting more and more concerned, not just with the visit experience and the candidate experience. What was it like to visit the site? Did you find the information? But they're really thinking more broadly about the entire application, interview, and experience of the whole thing.
Okay.
So let me ask you, you've taken an Uber lately.
I have.
What happened the minute you got out of the car?
They thanked me for the ride, and they asked me to rate the driver.
Exactly. And the driver was asked to rate you.
Right. I think I have a good rating.
Yeah. And that happens when you take a flight. It happens when you do anything. And so we're integrating that into the Match2 experience as well. So not only will it be great and easier for candidates to find you, to get a personalized, recommended, informed decision, but as they're interacting with you, how did the interview go? What was it like to work with our recruiters? Did the job on the website match up with what you interviewed for? How excited are you about the job after you've interviewed, right? How many other places are you interviewing besides us? Are you considering other? So all of those things can take a lot of different days and weeks, but that feedback loop will become the next level of Glassdoor-like data. Not what was it like to work here, but what was it like to apply and interview and go through our process here of consideration? And will you consider applying again in the future to us? So that data is the kind of data that you'll be able to get access to real time. You want to talk about like, what else in my entire recruiting experience can I make better? If you don't know what's broken or what's going wrong, you'll never be able to make tweaks to the rest of your experience.
Right. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in for this episode of the Matchcast. We will see you back here next time.
Awesome. Match on.